This is peak gaming performance. This, on the other hand, is abysmal. I don't like Yixuan. Yes, I don't. I really don't. In fact, I would just go as far to say that I hate Yixuan. Now, before I get a storm of people going to the comments telling me I'm an idiot, you should do that actually, because even dislikes and angry comments do boost the algorithm. For some reason, it actually helps more than just liking the video and subscribing. Why? I don't know, but it does. So go on ahead. I won't read them. First of all, why? Why do I hate Yixuan? What did she do to me? Well, I'm glad you asked. Everything. For one, she existed. See, I don't just dislike Yixuan from like a writing perspective or a design perspective or a game perspective. No. I hate her for all of them combined. My pure and genuine hatred for this character can only be rivaled by one other Hoyoverse character. A Hoyoverse character that I don't even want to name without falling into utter despair and nothing but misery for the next 3 business days. That doesn't affect me on holidays, don't worry about it. I may be completely unable to resolve this inner conflict I have against Yixuan. However, I can resolve the outer conflict I have with this game's Polychrome prices. And I can also resolve yours. How? Well, I'm glad you asked. With loot bar, of course. You and I know very well that it is very expensive to get characters in these gacha games, especially if you're getting multiple, you're getting copies, you're getting engines, or you're just in general looking to continue investing in several characters back to back. Well, this is where Loot Bar can step in. Loot Bar will offer you up to 23% of discounted prices on all Polychrome purchases, and offers first-time users coupons for their first purchase. But how does it work exactly? Just go on your game of choice, click the item you want to purchase, type in your UID and region, and make the purchase. Your account password will not be required. Within a few moments, you'll find your item in-game. Loot Bar services have been around for years with plenty of users as well as me, and I assure you that it is completely safe to use. Anyway, let me get back to my scheduled Hayden. Picture yourself as the Hoyoverse Zenless team director. You just created Hoshimi Miyabi in version 1.4. The most powerful character in a vacuum, by far it is not even close. And you're pretty proud of what you've made. Strong character will sell like crazy, and your game is alive again after a rather disastrous launch. Let's skip forward by a few months. You are about to start the second season, or what you are advertising at the second season of Zenless. You need another shiny flagship character on the front. But how the hell do you create the hype to match what you had in 1.4 with Miyabi? Well, naturally we gotta get the Miyabi level hype, so what do? We make a character and we advertise them to be literally Miyabi level. You create the tag Void Hunter level specifically to advertise this one character. Which, I mean, you know, on its own that's fine. You get Void Hunter, that's pretty cool, right? That means Void Hunter is like a status, like, you know, it's like, it's a measurement of power. You know, it means that this character is a big deal. I'll get into later why this is complete bullshit by now, and it's kind of ruined the weight of the Void Hunter title completely. But anyway, we'll get to that later. You have launched Season 2, Yixuan is there, you know, she sells pretty alright, but nothing actually compared to what Miyabi was able to do, and people still just think, and rightfully so, I'm believing, that Miyabi is just a better character and stronger than her. And well, you can't just make Yixuan better than Miyabi, because that would completely throw the game balance out the window. You can't just do that. You make Miyabi so strong that just power keeping her now is means that everyone else in the game is also just completely fucked. So, well, what do? How about progressively, with every single update, make her slightly more unplayable? You hate Miyabi. You want your shiny new OC with white hair, big tits, and a terrible design to outsell. To be the best selling. You want her to be the best always. But you can't delete Miyabi, she's already in the game. People will be very angry if you remove her. So naturally, the best course of action is just to make every piece of content that exists tailor-made to break her. Yixuan's mere existence has become a problem. Now, is this personal bias? Yes. Yes, absolutely. It is entirely personal bias. But there's also a lot of ground supporting my personal biases. Yixuan's mere existence and the devs' desire to make her outsell and outperform everything is negatively impacting other characters. And this isn't just because of bosses being specifically designed to break other characters, mostly Miyabi. No, beyond that, we also have changes in character buffs. Now, I'm not an idiot. Shill buffs have been here since the beginning of the game's life, actually. Like, literally past 1.0 shield defense, these buffs were catered to specific things. And Miyabi herself had lots of shield buffs. Basically, any anomaly buff that came with, like, a disorder or anomaly condition and gave a bunch of attack, that was a Miyabi shield buff. Sort of. Those buffs are insane. But the difference between, I'm going to compare these correctly, the difference between Miyabi's shield buffs and Yixuan's shield buffs is that Yixuan's shield buffs are completely unusable by the entirety of the game. Sometimes even other ruptures. While on the other hand, Miyabi's shield buffs are incredible on a lot of characters, sometimes even attackers, let alone anomalies. The buffs are not only so much easier to access with just needing to trigger anomalies sometimes, getting a huge boost in attack, but this is something that even attackers can use if you want to play around it, and while not being specifically optimal for those characters, it's still a very strong buff that will get you better scores. On the other hand, the Rupture shield buffs that, of course, started with Yixuan, well, they're pretty fucking useless, actually, on pretty much everyone that isn't Yixuan. Oh, but it's okay, we're gonna get other Rupture characters in the future, and they're gonna be able to use this buff, right? No, not really. Let's have a look at Monato. Come on, Monato. If you look at all the Rupture buffs currently available, a lot of them actually have type restrictions on top of that, only giving you ether damage bonus or some other ice buff. What I'm saying is, not even all the Rupture buffs are actually good for all of the Rupture characters, at least that we have right now. They are specifically catered to Yixuan's performance. Now, the real elephant in the room right now is Lucia's buffs, which doesn't even fucking work if you don't have literally just Lucia right now, but Yidari's coming up. Not in the game right now. And sure, while this is technically Lucia's fault, if we want to talk about why Lucia even exists, well, let's have a look back. Lucia is a support that specifically buffs Rupture characters. Well, what kind of Rupture characters do we have right now? Or we're getting Yidari next version cycle. Oh, we have Monato, and then there's Yixuan, the original one. Rupture would not exist if not for Yixuan, and therefore Lucia would not exist if not for Yixuan. So while this could technically belong in an I Hate Lucia video, I'm not making that video. Probably. So let's just blame it on Yixuan. That's endgame stuff. I'm not gonna touch too much on that. Okay, maybe you don't care about endgame. That's fine. Let's ignore Yixuan's performance being entirely boosted by shill buffs, shill bosses, and shill buffs that come to shill characters that are specifically designed to shield this character. Just ignore all of that, alright? Let's toss that away. We don't need endgame. Well, let's look at design. Actually, I don't even want to talk about design. That one's ass. That's not even a hot take, actually. What if, okay, I'm a casual now. I'm gonna stop playing endgame, okay? It bothers me too much. Let's look at the story. Oh. Ooh, yeah, things happened to the story, didn't they? Then the Zone Zero, originally a story about, I don't fucking know what actually, this game never really had a clear plot on what exactly the main thing is, besides just finding out more about Carol Arna, who is the teacher of our proxies, and, other investigations happening. There's like some bunch of little mini plots happening. It's not really a main objective that we have, at least that I'm aware of, maybe I'm an idiot. But the main thing about the proxies so far, always at least, is that we are this, like, legendary proxy. We are the only ones in the entire universe of Zenless that can assist people in hollows from outside of the hollows. That is why we are Faith, and that is the whole thing that we can do. We can interact with people from outside of the hollow space. That is incredible. Let's go into hollows, like in normal proxies, and completely lose everything that makes it special. If we're this legendary proxy that can operate from outside the hollow and have effects inside of the hollow, how do you think I felt when I found out that we were going to become trained to fight in the hollows, like any other proxy/agent? That's role assassination. Okay, but no, okay. Let him cook. Maybe we'll become really badass, and we can just ignore that whole thing, because, even if something isn't coherently written, or, again, is a type of role assassination, if it's really cool and badass, I let it slide. It's raw. However, that is not what happened. What they meant by training us and have us going into hollows is have Yixuan, yes, I didn't forget videos about her, is that we have Yixuan train us to dispel evil red magic. Not the phone, like red space magic. And that's kind of all we do. We can't fight at all. Actually, we're pretty much fucking frauds. We can't actually do anything in the hollows. We're just a walking liability, a pretty big one at that, actually. Our fighting and even survival capability in general is lower than any other agent in the game by a landslide, mind you. And so far, we have just endangered everyone that is around us. That's pretty good. So I have to wonder what the hell this training is supposed to even do, if anything. Is Yixuan a shit teacher? I don't know. And now level R2, this whole idea of the proxies going into the hollows, you know, that was the mayor's idea, not Yixuan's. And yes, you would be correct. It was in fact the mayor's idea. But the mayor is a character written by the Hoyoverse devs. The Zenless devs, sorry. And the Zenless devs made Yixuan. Therefore, the fault of the mayor is the fault of Yixuan. Does that make sense? Nope, not at all, but I'm using it, it's my video. But besides Yixuan pretty much changing the entire course of a story and changing who we are as characters completely from the legendary proxy to just any other guy that goes into hollows and can dispel red magic. It's the same as everyone else in Young Kui Summit, but you know, we gotta do it because we're the main characters. Aside from that, her character just does absolutely nothing but remove tension, and not even in like a good way from the story. So you can have very strong characters in a story. I have nothing against that, you know, Miyabi exists. Or we can even look at, I don't know, what's like a good story with a strong character? I guess, I don't know, Mob Psycho 100 and Punch Man are like really absurd examples. You know, it's fine to have OP characters. Even Hoyoverse itself. Hoyoverse has Dainsliff in Genshin. If you don't know who Dainsliff is, imagine he's like, imagine if there was like a Jesus' brother who survived because he has an immortality curse, and then he's just insanely OP and stronger than even gods for some reason. That's basically Dainsliff. Also, he has like weird complex against gods, but you know, that's basically the thing, right? And Dainsliff works perfectly fine in the story of Genshin because they know when to utilize him, and you know, he has his own morals kind of and goals that prevent him from just soloing everything in our path in the story. Because that will make for a pretty shit story if we could just hit the Dainsliff button and have all problems resolved, even though he is absolutely capable of doing that. In Zenless, however, mainly Season 2, we do have a Yixuan button, and it's kind of used. She kind of just exists as this giant plot device that is incredibly strong because, yes? This is what I'm going to bring up the whole Void Hunter level thing. Originally, when she was, you know, being marketed so everyone would pull her, it was like this Void Hunter level kind of character, which sounded really cool at first. You know, Void Hunters are essentially what we thought was going to be Zenless kind of Archons, if you're familiar with Genshin. If you're not, that's basically like the gods, you know, they're like a special release, you get one a year. But instead, Void Hunter was kind of just reduced to a lot less, and I feel like this is kind of fault of Yixuan. Not really, but I'm gonna say it is because, again, I hate Yixuan. Instead of Void Hunter being like a status of power or anything remarkable like that, it's basically just a small title that the mayor gives you for helping the city of Eridu. New Eridu, sorry. That's kind of it. Now, of course, you have to do something fairly monumental to get this, and, well, doing something like that will sometimes require great power or, I don't know, the creation of, what, was it Bangbu? I forget the exact backstory of all the Wood Hunters, sorry, I'm not super caught up on lore at the moment, I kind of fallen out of the interest of that. But anyway, Yixuan was actually offered this title, but she refused it. But the whole thing about Void Hunter level has gone from, you know, super powerful to just, you know, the mayor likes you. And that kind of drags down every other Void Hunter too. So now whenever we hear about any Void Hunter or Void Hunter level release, it doesn't fucking mean anything. Like, yes, you could say, for example, that the proxies are Void Hunter level because they have helped the city in ways that could be considered Void Hunter worthy. Does that mean they are strong at all? Fuck no. The same can be applied to any other character that decide to market as Void Hunter level. It no longer means anything. It really doesn't. It was an artificial title purely placed on Yixuan so she could sell a little better. Which, I mean, I guess she did? Question mark? Outside of that, can I just talk about how Yixuan's entire hype was just borrowed from Miyabi? They knew they couldn't match what they had in 1.4, so they literally just took Miyabi and had them fight in a, whatever, like a tie battle, like, ooh, look at what Yixuan can do. Being this whole super hyped up character of Void Hunter level status even claims that she can take on the entire, what was it, Obsidian Division? I think it was the Obsidian Division. No, was it? It was some fucking military force. She said she could take on that entire thing by herself. She's not actually done anything impressive in the story yet. She really hasn't. Yeah, I guess, yes, she defeated, in quotations, Mavorak in the story. Except she didn't. Bro is still actually fine chilling. We know that from the story. And she also shows up to, like, help fight Miasmic Fiend, but doesn't actually do anything besides expose the core. Which, I mean, sure, thanks? Question mark? I don't know. This character is all talk, barely any show, and when I'm talking show, it's more like show these giant fucking golden particles of ink everywhere rather than actually do anything cool. And that also extends to the gameplay of Yixuan. Now, I know people highly praise Yixuan for that cool tech and the optimizations and all that. I really don't give a shit. Now, this is not a shade to anybody that plays Yixuan or enjoys playing Yixuan. I have a lot of friends that play Yixuan. I don't want them to hate me, at least not yet. Listen, when Yixuan came out and I tried to play that character, I had the worst time ever trialing any character. Not in any Hoyo game, but at least in Zenless so far. The fact that the optimal damage also just comes from holding the fucking button down, you know, to get that little orb. But R2, you can let go of the orb and then press Alt to get a cool animation cancel. Whoa! That's not new. It's also not even particularly impactful. It doesn't really change your damage output that much at all. I mean, it's cool, but you know, it kind of exists. Her gameplay is really just a slightly more dynamic novelette from Genshin, where you hold the button and then he does things, and then you're basically invincible for the duration of that. Novelette wasn't fully invincible when he did the charge attack. Yixuan is completely invincible. Outside of that, they made specific features just for this one character. Talk about DLC privilege. Now, this game doesn't have DLC, but we're gonna call it that. Season 2 is that's basically DLC. You know, I hate using an ultimate and completely missing the enemy because they moved out of the way or whatever bullshit. Well, let's give Yixuan's mini ultimate the ability to just completely fucking freeze the boss in place. Yeah, there we go, it's never gonna miss now. Man, I hate when the fight ends before I can get off my final attack. You know, the timer ends and I lose all my damage. Okay, let's make a feature to where you can get all of that damage, even though time ran out. But let's only give it to Yixuan's ultimate. Only. There is no other ability in the game that just ignores the timer like this. It is only her ultimate because it does a bunch of fucking damage. It's little things like these little privileges that are only given to this one character because they really want her to be the best. And she kind of, I guess she is now, but it took a lot of things to get here. Yixuan came out, she was like about Hugo level. I'm gonna be fucking real with you. She was dead-ass Hugo level, which is still pretty good, of course. But nothing more than that, despite the insane shill. She came up with a boss tailor-made for her that only had like 70 million HP at the time. Of course, that HP has gone way up since then, but you know, to give you an idea of how much they want her to be good, made it Ether Weak, a very low HP, surprisingly easy to fight, at least for the time. And of course, she came with her insane shill buffs that we all know about. And well, time passed, the Yixuan shill phase kind of ended for a bit because they have to shill Alice, is an anomaly, you know, whatever, that's normal. And then they realized, you know, Yixuan is not good enough. She is not curb stopping Miyabi or anything close to that like we wanted. So let's just make a support to get her to that level. And if you don't get that support, you are fucking doomed. Or, on the other hand, if you get the support and you don't have Yixuan, you're also fucking doomed. So what are you gonna play? I mean, I guess you can play Monato. Sure. Or, you know, during the next patch, you just pull Lucia, you might just be out of fucking pulls to get Yidari. So, you know, you either get the support that's completely fucking useless for anything that's not Rupture, or you have Yixuan, now you have this ultimate Jesus character that will make Yixuan the best character in the game. With a buff that is also fucking absurd. Now, what does this all come down to? Now, at the end of the day, does Yixuan really deserve all this hate because of the devs' choices? Yes. Yeah, she does. End the video.